NGARE. Welcome to Krystalklia Talk. Today we'll be talking about marriage. This is one institution that is having a lot of problems right now. From the news we read about spouses killing each other. There's a lot of things that are happening. And being the only institution that was founded by God, the question is, as many are saying right now, is it really a scam? Or are we getting it wrong? Are there some things that we can do and have our marriages work and our families become, that haven of safety, that place that every child will feel happy, and all the emotions that come about with someone that is content. Today with me, my guest is Dr. WAHOME NGARE. And Dr. is not just a doctor, he's a gynecologist actually, and he's also passionate about family and and life. And I'm so honored and privileged to have you, Dr.
Thank you very much.
Please, I want you, I know you've shared the many years that you've been married for. You've been married for 28 years, and you actually said, and I believe so too, you qualify for this topic. We have a lot to learn from you. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am the husband of Mercy, and we have been blessed with 3 beautiful kids.
Yes.
NGARE, Nyingi and Gathoni, and we're actually currently expecting our first grandchild.
Wow, congratulations.
Early September.
Yes.
So it's an exciting time.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of being qualified for this topic, I've been married for many years, like you have stated.
Mm-hmm.
I am a member of the Archdiocese of Nairobi Family Board, and I am involved in many activities.
Mm-hmm.
I am also the moderator of the Catholic Men Association in our parish.
Wow.
I also participate in the Rites of Passage program in our parish, where we prepare the young men and young women for their roles in future. So there are many areas. Being a gynecologist, I also look after families and the issue about our sexuality and how it plays its role out in marriage. So it's an interesting combination that I bring to this table.
Wow, thank you very much. Well, right now, just as I've said, people are a bit skeptical about marriage. But is it really a hopeless situation?
No, I think the challenge with marriage is about understanding what you are asking for.
Yes.
I think that is where the problem is really the foundation. If we start with the definition of marriage,
yes,
marriage is the total self-giving of one to another between a man and a woman. And it is a permanent relationship. It is open to life.
Yes.
And has responsibility of bringing up those children to the fullness of the knowledge of God. So, by definition,
yes,
you're saying marriage is permanent.
Yes.
Okay. You're also saying that marriage is open to life, meaning that you will accept to receive children. You're also saying it is consensual, that you must be competent to give permission. And it is a commitment that is taken before God and people. It's not a secret. If we understand that clearly,
yes,
then you will understand that your preparation for marriage cannot just involve you and your partner.
That's right.
It would start with the fact that you must declare what your intention is publicly.
Yes.
It requires that you honor your parents and you honor the parents of your spouse to be by bringing this matter to their attention. And it requires that you are competent to make that decision, that you are of age.
Yes.
Okay, and that you are not being coerced or forced into this relationship.
Yes.
It also means that you come without encumbrances. You're coming to give yourself totally to another person. You have no secrets.
Yes.
I have another child, I won't tell him about it. I had done an abortion, I won't say. I have another woman at home, but it is a traditional marriage, so I won't say. You're not supposed to come with encumbrances. So once this is clear,
yes,
then it is the process that we follow. You have met somebody who you like.
Yes.
Okay? And you're going through the process of dating. The process of dating should not include sexual intercourse. It is. I spoke to a young person and I asked him what dating is. He said, is a committed relationship between a man and a woman that involves sexual intercourse but is not leading to marriage. And I got quite shocked because they described the marriage and then said it wasn't marriage. Because that's what marriage is supposed to be.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
You say some would say,
yes,
why not try out?
Yes.
You know, why not see if this is the ideal partner,
yes,
so we can maybe live together for some time and, you know, also have the sexual intercourse, but really I'm not sure whether she is gonna be the one or not.
She or he is going to be the one or not. Yes. That is a deception and a big trap from the devil himself. Because when you come to wanting to know if somebody is good or not,
yes,
you are not competent to make that decision as a person.
Yes.
Because they can lie to you. They can present to you a certain type of person anytime you're together because it will be for 1 or 2 hours.
Yes.
But you'd never know the real person. So the way traditionally and in the Christian faith, the men are trained to protect the girl child is that if you're interested in my daughter,
yes,
then you need to come and tell me. You need to declare your interest to me as a father of the child,
yes,
before you even touch her.
Okay.
Then we know whether you're serious. Then I will ask you to go and come with your parents. And then we shall interrogate your background,
yes,
and see whether your commitment is real or not. Then you're going to take a vow before God and man that you're entering into a permanent relationship.
Yes.
Because the fruit of marriage is children, and they're not temporary.
That's right.
If you're going to have to look after a baby for 25 years before they become independent of you, and you got married at 25, you'll be 50 when you finish with the first project, and you have 2 or 3 or 4 children.
Yes.
There is no time to go back and check whether it was the right choice.
That's right.
So that is as far as the social relationships are concerned. Most of the single parents you will find
yes,
are very good Christian women. We brought them up as good parents and taught them to be honest, and we forgot to tell them the world is not an honest place.
That's right.
So they go and they are told, I love you, I love you, I love you continuously for 6 months, and eventually they believe. And they do not understand how a full-grown man could lie.
That's right.
And when they agree to have sex and the fellow takes off, they can't believe that full-grown adults can lie. So the only way you can protect this person is let the person who is interested come and tell us,
yes,
as your parents. Let us do some background check so that we can confirm whether their intention is real. Now, when it comes to sexual intercourse and that bit of experimenting to see whether it will work, remember every time you have sex with one person, there is always a first time.
That's right.
So there is nothing like we are trying. You have had sex that one time, there will be a first time. Even if you decide you don't like that one and you're going to try with someone else, there is a first time. And everybody doesn't like what the other likes. So when you talk about trying to see whether it will work, then it's forgetting that sexual intercourse is a natural process.
Yes.
And the question then will be, who taught you how to suckle? You were born and your mother placed you on the breast and you started suckling.
That's right.
Who taught you?
it came from.
If a man and a woman are left alone,
Yes.
and they allow nature to take place,
Yes,
with very little basic understanding of biology, the rest is just nature. And the best sex teacher is basically your spouse. Okay, so you try it this way, and then somebody says, I like that, please repeat that again. I don't like the way you touched me, then don't do that again. And you train yourself how to make the other person happy.
Yes.
So it is a learning process right from the beginning. It doesn't end, almost throughout life. Huh? And if you go and have some experience, let's say you're a man and you have experience with a certain gene or something, and you think you're very good, and you go and you try the same tricks with Mary, then you discover she doesn't like being touched that way, and it's a disaster.
Yes.
So sexual experience is the only experience in the whole world that adds no value to your personal or professional CV.
That's right.
The more sexual experience you have, the more disastrous your relationships are going to be.
That's right.
And I have never seen anybody write how many sexual partners they have when they are applying for a job. So let's forget that story. It is a lie from the devil himself.
Yes.
Because there will always be a first time, then you cannot experiment with sexual intercourse. You first commit yourself to this relationship. And remember, we are talking about marriage being the total self-giving of one person to another.
That's right.
That means that sexual intercourse is the ultimate self-giving of one person to another. And that's why Christian marriage is consummated through sexual intercourse.
That's right.
So if you got married in church and you went to Mombasa for your honeymoon and you discovered this fellow was impotent, he could not perform, then that marriage, you don't go for a divorce. It's called an annulment.
Yes.
It means that he entered into this relationship by false pretense,
That's right.
knowing very well he cannot perform what is necessary in marriage.
Yes.
So you cannot then consummate a relationship before you have come before God and person, and because then what you're committing is adultery. So that's the best way to understand it. Always, when you're starting a project, always be very clear that you understand what it is you're going into.
Yes.
You never start building a house before you have some kind of plan. Even in marriage, you need to understand what the institution of marriage is, what is expected of a man and a woman, what will be your role in that relationship, what are you supposed to do with the children, and once you understand all this, then you go out and you look for a partner.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right. I like that. And when one is getting into marriage, one is happy, excited, they're in love. And of course they don't see any fault with their partner. And at that time, you know, somebody does not think probably you're going to have arguments, disagreements and things like that. And when people get into it with that kind of mindset, they get the shock, and probably now when things are not working out, they just want to walk away, you know, to call it quits. I don't know what's your take on that.
I think the way I understand it is the misconception of what love is. The love we are presented with by society, especially the world, is emotional attraction.
Yes.
And we portray it with a big love sign, a heart. A heart is about feelings, and feelings can be very temporal.
That's right.
Today I am a married man, but if I see a pretty woman, I will notice, you know, oh, she looks very nice, right? Now, that is a natural thing.
Yes.
Now, if I were to pursue that interest, then I'll be breaking the rules.
Yes.
Okay? But that I have noticed that they are looking nice is fine. So that emotional thing doesn't go away. And when you're with a partner for a long time, you find the first time they call you, your heart is beating very hard. It almost feels like it will come out through the throat. And you're sweating and you're excited and stuff.
Yes.
Within 2 or 3, 6 months of dating, you know, it kind of slows down.
That's right.
And if that relationship breaks and you get into another one, then the same thing comes again.
Yes.
Now that feeling, that emotional feeling is an attraction, is an emotional attraction, is a natural thing, is not a choice, but that is not love. You see, true love is a choice.
Yes.
Is a choice you make, is a deliberate decision. And the best way to understand love is to understand God. God created us out of love, and all He wanted us to do is to love Him back by obeying Him. And we disobeyed Him, and we could no longer live in His presence.
That's right.
And He could have given up on us, forget these people or destroy them or whatever. And instead, for the whole of humanity, He has always sent somebody to come and help us reconcile with Him, until ultimately He sent His own Son.
That's right.
With the coming of Christ, then you're saying God has given Himself to come and die on the cross, so that that sacrifice may be sufficient for us to be reconciled with Him.
Yes.
If you understand love from that concept, then what you're saying is love is that total self-giving, and its intention or final outcome is that we are reconciled with God.
That's right.
So if I am a young man who's dating a young lady, and we are finding out whether we are compatible and stuff, and I tell her I love her, and then in the same breath I ask her to have sex with me before we are married, then I do not understand love. Because I'm pursuing my emotional feeling, but I am going to destroy her relationship with God, and I'm going to destroy my own relationship with God. So love is a choice, and the best way to define love is to will the good for others. If you truly love somebody, then you want the best, the good for them.
Yes.
Always do what is good for them. So if we divorce that emotional experience from the true love of God, which is agape love, which is a choice that we make that is deliberately aimed at doing what is good, then we'll stop being confused. The second thing that is very important after love is forgiveness. We are not perfect beings.
That's right.
And we shall make mistakes. And the only reason why we have an association with God is because we confessed our sin and asked for forgiveness.
Yes.
And if you find that you have reached a point where you would say you can't forgive your partner because of what they have done, then you have missed the concept of Christian love.
Yes.
Because when sin is committed, it is committed first against God. So your partner already has a challenge that they have to deal with God for the mistake they have made. And then they have broken trust between the two of you. But they first must be forgiven. I have an obligation to forgive them. Then I tell them to go and reconcile with God.
That's right.
And even if that reconciliation is done, then there is a journey for repairing the lost trust.
Yes.
So that even where a mistake has occurred, just because I have apologized and said I'm sorry, is the beginning of the healing process. There is still trust that then must be built.
Yes.
So the fact that partners must understand that none of them is perfect, and that somebody will make a mistake, and that mistake needs to be forgiven, and that there is a permanent relationship here to worry about, so that you look for reconciliation, not an escape route.
That's right.
Yeah, so those two are very important.
I like that. But on the issue of forgiveness, there are people who will ask you for forgiveness, but they are repeat offenders. We do it again and again. You know,
Yes, that is true, and it's a challenge. And some of those problems we are able to solve at the beginning, at the foundational level.
Okay.
Because you find that where chastity is not considered, where you do not refrain from sexual intercourse before you get into marriage, then you may get pregnant and plan a marriage because you're expecting a baby.
Yes.
but you do not know the background of the person you are getting involved with.
That's right.
So maybe they were not believers, and you're hoping and praying they will become believers. They were not going to church, but you met in campus and they're good company. So you're already starting a relationship wounded because the foundation is already wobbly.
Yes.
And that relationship needs a lot of grace to be reconstructed for us to go. So one of the best things is making sure your foundation is right. So let's go back to our dating. What would dating then be? Dating would be that you're choosing a spouse. So you're ready to get married.
Yes.
You have told your parents and other people you are ready to get married. And we invite you to places where you can meet other young people who are from families we understand and that are good. And therefore you date John, go with him for coffee. What do you do during a date? You are trying to assess whether this person has the same interests as you.
That's right.
So, do you like children? Okay. How soon would you consider settling down? Okay. How many children? Right. Do you go to church? Which church? You know, you're a committed Christian. So basically, we are trying to find out. If I am ready to settle down in the next 1 or 2 years and I meet somebody who says maybe 5 years, then I would stop dating them and look for somebody else who's ready to settle down as soon as I am. If you go and you find somebody who says they only want 1 child and you want 10, then you can stop that date and stop wasting your time, because then that bridge is too big. Okay.
That's right.
So we're using this dating to find out whether there is some compatibility in terms of our expectations and our plans in future.
Yes.
After you choose one person and you think they are the one, they seem to have not 100%, but most of what you would desire in a partner. Remember, you're also looking for the father or mother of your children. Does this person possess the character that you would want a mother or father of your children to have? Their dressing, their attitude towards people, how do they relate to others? You know, that kind of stuff. Are they hardworking people? So we are not looking for rich people, but we want progressive people. We want somebody who is saying they want to do their masters because they feel they're not earning enough. You want somebody who will wake up every morning and go and hustle whatever they'll get and come back. You don't want a fellow who sits in his mother's house, is not employed, and is looking for a wife. You know, so he's not even independent of his parents. So those are the things you look out for in dating. Once you choose this one person and you think you are right, you've gotten the right person. Remember, your head is spinning. You're no longer thinking right. You know, everything he says is good. Everything she says is good. You know, that's the state you were saying about being happy and stuff.
Yes.
Now, the next level then would be what we call courtship.
Yeah.
So we now commit our relationship. There is still no sexual intercourse, but now I want to take you to my parents and tell them this is the woman that I have found, and this is the woman I would like to spend my life with.
Yes.
Kindly assess her for me and find out whether there is something I'm missing. And you take the young man home and you do the same.
Yes.
And what would happen is, as parents, there would be certain things we would be interested in. Yeah, you know, have you left your mother's house, for instance, if you're a young man? What kind of work are you doing?
Yes.
You know, how progressive is his thinking? Does he honor his parents? What does he think about his parents? And how does he relate with them?
Yes.
So are they from a family of witches, for instance? Do they eat people? Some of those questions you may not ask. Are they married?
Yes.
Do they have somebody else? Do they have children outside of this relationship? So parents would then ask a little more detail and can assess somebody for you and tell you, my daughter, I think this one seems to be properly structured.
Yes.
Okay. Once that person gets a tick from the family, like for me, two of the women I dated were rejected.
Oh, really?
Rejected by my parents.
Interesting.
Yeah. the one I am with was got full approval. Then the next level now is when you come to what we call engagement.
Yes.
Okay? And in our African culture we call it dowry. So now the young man has passed this interview, the young woman has passed this interview. So if he's a young man, we then tell him, now go and come with your parents and tell us what you want.
Yes.
And when they come and they declare they're interested, which shows some commitment, we tell them go and come with a gift. And they go and they come with a gift. And now we see that these people are not jokers. And then we give our permission. Then the next level now is the marriage.
Yes.
Where you go before God and before man and you make your commitment to come into this relationship. Then after that you go and you consummate your relationship through sexual intercourse.
Yes.
So that's why it is so important that you do not approach marriage as an individual. That's why it's so important that the feeling of attraction is not enough.
That's right.
On which to found your marriage. And if you start with sex and pregnancy and you're working backwards, remember as your father, you have denied me the opportunity to protect you.
Yes.
Because now I have to accept whatever you have gone and dragged home.
That's right.
And whether I like them or not, then I have no choice.
That's right.
Yeah, so we are now starting with a patchwork, trying to see whether we can solidify this relationship.
That's right.
Yes, so those are the main issues.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And what I hear you say is that the foundation is the most important. So guys out there, those who are not yet married, you just had Daktari help us go stage by stage how you should go about your relationships. And another thing that I've picked from that is humility, because the generation right now will want to have their way. This is the girl I like, you're not going to tell me anything about her, or this is the man I like, you know. So it's good to humble ourselves, listen to our parents, have them guide us, because I believe if we sort out, as you said, the foundations, then the issues that we're having right now in marriages will not be there, or at least we'll be able to work around them, because with the blessing of the parent, they can always come back to the parent and seek advice. You know, but the other thing I want us to talk about is communication. I was actually reading, there's been just a sad case that happened where a spouse killed, you know, the husband killed the wife, and then during the funeral of the husband, they were saying that, you know, women should not aggravate or, you know, should not anger their partners, their husbands, you know, something like that. And, you know, showing that probably this man killed the wife because she provoked him. But I think there's a way where there's a misunderstanding how people communicate. Probably they don't hear what the partner is saying, or they're not humble enough to just, like you're talking about being selfless, they're just so self-centered and wanting to have their way. But I don't know, what's your take on communication in marriages?
Yes, I was saying if you go to Christian bookshops and other bookshops and look for books on communication in marriage and sexual relationship in marriage and how to date in marriage, you know, you'll probably be reading even as you retire. And the way I find it easiest to approach communication is to understand that you have something in your heart. Yes. And your partner doesn't know it. The question is, how do you let them know what is going on in your heart? Yes. So the way I approach communication in marriage is train your partner to love you. Okay, and you do that by communicating what you like and what you don't like. Okay. So instead of being an instructor and saying, never talk to me like that again, or why did you come home at this time? Yes. Then the idea would be, when you came home late last night, yes, I was extremely worried that something had gone wrong. Okay, I called you, you didn't pick up my phone and this, and because I care, I couldn't sleep.
Yes.
I was terrified. And therefore, I would like you next time to think about me and to know that I care and that you let me know if you're going to be late.
Yes.
Okay? Now, that's very different from never come home late again. Okay?
Yes.
So the first element there is give benefit of doubt. If there is something you've seen and you think it is not right, don't assume it was done deliberately. Don't assume it was done to annoy you or to make you unhappy. The first thing is just express clearly how that action made you feel.
Yes.
And what you would prefer done differently.
Yes.
Okay? And in the same way, when something is done that is good, so for instance, if your birthday means a lot to you,
yes,
and every time I forget your birthday, you get unhappy with me, then the first time, make the arrangements yourself and say we are going to go for dinner on this day because it's my birthday. Okay?
Yes.
And we go for dinner, and you make sure I pay the bill. And the thing is, and what happens is, I will then understand that the remembering your birthday means a lot to you.
That's right.
I will then make a personal effort to remember it, whether I write it down or whatever it is I do. Not because so much that I want to remember it, but because I want to make you happy.
That's right.
And when I remember your birthday, it makes you happy. So that's how it works. I'll give an example. The flowers. Okay, so I never cared too much for flowers, especially when they are cut and in a vase. I would find them prettier growing. Then one time my wife was changing jobs, and the institution where she was living bought her a bouquet of flowers.
Yes.
And she pampered these flowers like a baby, and she looked after them, and she put water and watched them blossom. And I could see radiance, you know, she was really enjoying this.
She loved them.
Yes, she enjoyed the flowers and she really loved them. And from that point on, it stops being what I think about the flowers. Is how they make her feel. And therefore, every once in a while, I'll buy a bouquet of flowers.
Yes.
That's how you learn. So if you find something that makes your partner happy, then you perpetually do that and get to ask more to know what makes them happy.
Yes.
And if you feel there is something that has made you unhappy, always communicate it, but in a manner that gives benefit of doubt. She did not, or he did not do this to annoy me. And they are not in my heart. They don't know what I think. I come from a different background. Maybe in their family that is okay, in our family it is not.
Yes.
The only way I can help my partner is to tell them that I felt this way. The partner needs to understand, not to then defend themselves.
Yes.
You know, the way you spoke to my mother is considered rude in my family.
Yes.
Okay? So there are families that will call a mama Made. Okay, so you call your mom Made. Made uko namna gani? Then you go to another family, and that is considered very rude.
That's right.
You either call her mother or you know something, but you don't call her Made. So you come to her house and you say, Made, how are you? And of course, I'm there cringing and I'm thinking, goodness. And when we leave, I tell you. Now, your attitude should then be to understand that that's our family, that's how we look at things, and you stop using that word in my family. Yes. But to justify it and say, oh, but us we call our mother Made, or, you know, now you miss the point.
That's right.
So that's the easiest way. Look at communication as a way of teaching your partner what you like and what you don't like, or what has hurt you and what has made you happy, so that they know how to behave differently. That way the change comes from them internally.
Yes.
Is not demanded of them.
I like that. And I like the aspect also of giving. It's giving of yourself. It's not just about you.
Yes.
And these are things that are just coming across as you speak. Humility. You brought about now that aspect of giving. That, you know, where you give selflessly. It's not about you. I don't know what else you can want to which other message would want to pass on?
I think the only other one that I would like to emphasize, maybe two. The first one is there's the gender roles.
Yes.
The word gender has been abused a lot and is being equated to sex. But we never use the word gender as a standalone word. We used to talk about gender roles.
Yes.
Because you must know the biological sex of the person, they are male or female, and then you say, what do females do in your community? Then you describe gender roles. For instance, getting firewood and water used to be the gender role of women in the African community. Today, we have changed gender roles.
Yes.
So, for instance, now we are using water without the dispenser thing, and we are using gas to cook. Okay.
Yes.
So now you find in the city, it is me who goes to fetch water and to buy firewood.
True.
It is a change of gender roles.
Yes. Yes.
So gender and gender roles are different. So the way God created man and woman is that man has everything he needs to be a man.
Yes.
But he only represents half of human nature. The woman has everything she needs to be a woman, but she represents only half of human nature.
Yes.
So that for you to get the fullness of human nature, then you must bring the man and the woman together in a complementary fashion.
Yes.
Men and women were never created to compete. So when it comes to the gender roles, we need to be very clear. When it comes to profession and works that can be done, it has no gender issues. Men and women can be doctors, can be engineers, can be whatever they want to do. But when you come to the institution of marriage, what the husband and the father is supposed to do and what the wife and the mother is supposed to do are clear and distinct and cannot be changed.
Okay.
So for the man, the most important gender role is that he must protect his woman and protect the children.
Yes.
It is protection that is the man's gender role. Whether it is physical, whether it is emotional, the man must present an environment in which the wife and the children can thrive. Okay?
And that is even if it's coming from his family.
What?
Probably the attack, on the wife or something like that.
You see, it's supposed to be very clear, and that's why I'm saying the gender role is very clear. The first person the man must protect the women against, his woman against, is his own family.
Yes.
Yes, it could be the mother, it could be the sisters, it could be anyone. When there is somebody who comes and dishonors your wife, regardless of who they are, then you must make it clear to them they shall not dishonor. They shall not dishonor your wife. So that the choice is, this woman is the one who has come into our family. We are related by blood. If you allow your family members to dishonor her or to call her names or to ridicule her, she has nobody who can protect her because she's a foreigner in this land.
That's right.
So you must stand in there and tell them, you are not going to dishonor my wife, you're not going to dishonor her, whether you're my, whatever relationship we have. So if I am with my little brother and I'm the last one, so this is an example. But they're living with me because I'm paying fees. And they're told to maybe tidy up their room by my wife. And they tell her, this is my brother's house, you don't tell me what to do. And I come home and I'm told, then I call both of them and I say, look, I love both of you very much, okay? And my brother, this is my wife.
Yes.
And I love her very much. And you're my brother and I love you very much. But if you are not going to honor my wife, you are going to go back to our mother's house and I'll be coming to visit you from there.
That's right.
But if you're going to stay here, you're going to respect my wife.
That's right.
Okay? So it should be like that. Now the next person you must protect, you must protect your wife against is the children. Children can really dishonor their mothers. And they can be very mischievous and can be told several things by their mother and they're just sitting there doing nothing. So again, you must be very firm with the children, that they will not disrespect your wife.
That's right.
Okay, so that, and then the third person, of course, is other women. that you make sure you have clear boundaries with other women, so that your wife does not feel challenged or like she's in competition with other people.
That's right.
Now, if men understood that role and played it well, then you find that the woman would submit naturally.
That's right.
She doesn't need to be told. She will respect that authority. Now, for the woman to then achieve this, then what she needs to do is to honor her man, is to basically
respect.
Honor. It's called respect. But the respect is one of the person who has authority over the family. Okay?
Yes.
So if your child wants something and you know you can afford to buy it, then you tell him, let me come and discuss with your father, so that they understand that there is a person of authority.
Yes.
If your child does a wrong thing, you go and you report them to your husband. You can punish them, but you go and you report and you say, your son did this, and the husband says something to the son, never to do that again.
Yes.
But what happens is that daddy is supposed to be used to teach children that there is a God who you have to respect, even though you don't see them.
Yes.
So if children learn to honor their father, even when he is not at home, then they can understand the concept of being accountable to a God they have never seen. That's why the role of the father is very important.
Yes.
But if the wife teaches the children to dishonor or to disrespect the father, don't tell me what to do, that kind of discussion, what happens is that the children can never be disciplined by that man. Okay? So for the man to protect the woman and the children, he needs his place of authority to be respected.
That's right.
So we were created to complement one another. So if I am, for instance, my wife is a CEO of a parastatal, and I am a doctor in this clinic. When I leave my house, and I go to work, I'm a doctor, I go and I do what doctors do.
Yes.
And she goes and she does what CEOs do. When we come back into the house, then we're husband and wife, and we're father and mother to our children. The CEO and the doctor remains outside that door. And then you come and you take up your gender roles and you play them accordingly. Now remember, 80% of what your children learn is by observation.
Yes.
So children need a father and a mother. They learn different things from daddy, different things from mommy. And when they are watching you and how you relate to each other, you're already preparing them for their family.
Yes.
If you wound them or you show them bad manners, then they are likely to carry this stuff with them into their marriages.
That's right.
Okay? So it's very important that we understand that even as we are raising our children, that's the second thing I wanted to end with. We are preparing the next family. We must teach our children by the way we relate to one another, so that they can understand and enjoy the warmth of family and want and desire to have a family of their own.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. I'm learning a lot, and I hope so are you. And the things I think I can point out to us is that foundation in our marriages, in relationships, is key, because how you come about to get into that marriage will determine the kind of marriage you're gonna have. And then the other thing is humility, that place of humility, that place where you know that in this marriage that I have to give myself, I have to be selfless. It's not gonna just be about me. So there are some things that I have to lay down for the sake of my partner. And the other thing is about the permanence of the marriage, because I think some of us have that notion that I can just get into it. If it doesn't work out, I'll just get out of it, just divorce. So divorce is not a big deal to our generation. But I think it's important that right now that when we are getting into marriage, think about it, that you're getting into a relationship that is permanent. And this just been a lot that we've learned from you, Daktari, and I'm so grateful again for your time. And before we end, unless you have something else to say, I would like, yes.
It may be just one. The Christian marriage, the center must be Christ.
Yes.
If you go to Ephesians 5, you submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. So each one of you must be in Christ. You must understand your relationship with Christ. Even before the woman has been told to submit to the man, first they are in Christ.
Yes.
Okay? And then each one of them is in Christ. Then this one submits to the other. The other one loves the other as Christ loved the church. The issue about men are the ones who should provide is a lie from the devil.
Yes.
And I would like to make this very clear to the young generation. Provision in the African and Christian sense, everybody must go to work. You're not supposed to eat if you do not work. So where there may be a possibility where a family can agree that the woman will stop working so that she can look after the children, is very different from where one wants to come and immediately stop working and sit at home painting their nails, looking nice and pretty, and they say it's because now they have a man to support them. It is not supposed to be like that. You also must remember that sometimes people get injured, people get sick, people lose their jobs, and for a time they must rely on one income. So it's very important that people understand provision is by both partners. Yes. And then whatever you own from that relationship is equally owned regardless of who put how much. Yeah.
That's right. And I would like you to end for us with a word of prayer. Let's pray for families.
Very good.
Yes.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you, grateful that you have given us this opportunity to speak to the youth and to others about the gift of marriage and the institution of marriage. Father, we pray for those homes that have challenges, and we ask that you intervene in them so that they can be restored. We are grateful for those families that have been able to do the right thing, and we encourage them to continue doing the same through your own blessing and graces. We want to pray for those who are thinking about going into marriage to consider it as an institution that they must take seriously and prepare well for, and to understand that the fruit of this relationship is children, and children who must be brought up to understand the knowledge of, or to understand the fullness of God and their relationship with God, and that is the responsibility of the parents. We ask all this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Thank you. Well, this has been Crystal Clear Talk with me, your host, Sarah Njeri. Until next time, God bless you. Bye for now. Bye.